Hey, Mike, congratulations.
Well, thanks, John.
Can you just take us through this process of getting Macklin signed coming to the Sharks?
Yeah, from once we won the lottery, I didn't really talk to Mac or his family. I wanted them to have some time to um, enjoy the moment. I'm sure it's been a long year for him going through the draft process, so we kind of left him alone for a bit. We met with him at the combine interview and dinner, and all that went well. Um, And then, a couple weeks before the draft, I met with his dad and his agent and kind of went over the plan and, what we were, you know, what we are hoping to do, what we're going to try and do, things we outlined for Macklin and some little things like that. And then, we got to the draft and didn't really bother him then. That's a big moment for him and his family to enjoy. And, it was good to be around him at Dev Camp. But, we didn't really know which way it was going to go. I talked to Jay Pandolfo at the draft and a little bit before the draft, and he wasn't completely sure if Mac was going to be coming back to school either. So, we're really excited to, have him part of the organization and join us this year.
And referencing, I guess that plan, what you guys did in free agency, how important do you think that was, and also your trade acquisitions too, guys like Barkley, Gaudreau, and etc. How important do you think that was for Macklin to show him that you guys were going to do your best to sort of insulate, 18-year-old kid?
I think it was important to him and his family and representation to know that we were going to be a better team this year, a more competitive team, and have some good vets around him who could help guide him through the ups and downs of the season, and be a more competitive team and things like that. So, I'm sure it helped a little bit.
And today is about Macklin, but just in terms of, I guess, helping Macklin out, do you have any other plans to add to the team this summer? Any specific positions or areas of sort of concern?
No, not really. I think like I said a few days ago, I think most of the heavy lifting's done. We'll maybe still kind of pick around the edges and see if something pops up here now that the dust is settled. Um, and maybe there's potential to add something on the back end or depth piece. But for the most part, I think we'll be done, and there'll be opportunity for our young players here as well.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Go to Curtis.
Mike, when would you say this deal got finalized? Was that this morning or maybe yesterday at some point?
Um, Probably this morning. We had some conversation after Dev Camp and into yesterday, but nothing was finalized till this morning, and it was a pretty big day for us, so we're really excited.
I was just going to say, how big of a boost is it for this year's team to have a Macklin Celebrini on your roster?
Yeah, I think it's big for the guys in the room, and obviously for the fans as well. I think there's some buzz. You kind of feel it during the scrimmage, prospect scrimmage the other day. But I think the guys in the room, the young players and the veterans alike, realize the special talent that Macklin is, and I think there's some excitement for those guys to have the chance to play with them. So for him to be coming in this year, I think everyone and all the guys are pretty excited.
What role do you see for Macklin this year? I guess I'm just kind of curious, how much can you put on this kid's plate right away?
I don't want to put too much on his plate. I think that's been kind of the goal here to kind of try and insulate him and Will, so they don't feel like they got the weight of the world on their shoulders, and they got to go out and produce every single night. Um, we'll let him find his way. I'm sure there'll be some ups and downs along the way, but hopefully we'll have enough bodies here and enough veterans here to kind of help him along the way. And so it's hard to say, but I'm not expecting him to go out there and be the MVP of the league or anything like that. He's gonna, there's gonna be bumps, there's gonna be ups and downs, and I'm sure he'll navigate that, and we'll help him navigate those things.
I've heard a lot of coaches say it's easier to come into the league as a winger and maybe not as a centerman. But do you see Macklin as a center, this season for you guys, just the way your roster is constructed and maybe some question marks here and there? I mean, I guess it's going to be up to Ryan kind of to go over the lineup, but do you see him being him and Will maybe being centerman right off the hop here?
That's the idea, but like you said, we'll see how camp goes and see what Ryan thinks and the coaching staff thinks about everything. But I think, they've both been centers their whole life. So is it easier to be a wing? Sure, there's a little less responsibility, but at the end of the day, these guys have both been elite centermen their whole lives, and that's what they're used to playing, and that's what I'm sure they prefer playing. So we'll see how it goes. We do have some options, guys that can kind of fill in and play center throughout the lineup, which was also part of the plan. And some of those guys can maybe be on their wings and help them with some face-offs and some of the defensive responsibilities as well.
Do you feel you need anybody else to, guard against guys or the opposing teams maybe taking liberties with guys like Smith and Celebrini? Or do you feel that part of your roster is taken care of?
Well, I think we have some team toughness there. And we also have, I think Giovanni's got some toughness if that's a situation as well, if we need someone like that. So I think the way the league is now, I'm sure teams are gonna play these guys hard. But I think we have enough team toughness right now to kind of should help kind of protect those guys in these situations.
When you look around your division, it's McDavid, it's Kopitar, it's Eichel. Do you put Macklin in that same breath one day, potentially being maybe not McDavid? I mean, obviously he's a phenomenal player, but just a guy who could be a number one center for the Sharks for a really long time.
Yeah, I mean that's the hope. I don't want to compare him or put him up against anyone saying he's going to be this or he's going to be that. I think we feel really good about him and Will being, a really good 1-2 punch down the middle for a long, long time here. We feel very fortunate to have them both. And, I don't think it's fair on any of these kids to kind of say they're going to be this or that. They'll all find their way. And, but we think they're going to be really good players for a long time.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's go to Max.
And Mike, obviously, everything here, congratulations on the Macklin signing, a lot of young prospects here. But when you look at a lot of the other players here, it looks like there's almost like a logjam at forward, a lot of players. Is there any worry of almost playing, having spots for enough of these kids? And do you see, maybe utilizing some of the players like a Colin Graff, maybe getting some more time in the AHL?
No, I'm not worried about it. I think the NHL is all about competition, and none of these kids should be handed anything, right? If you're good enough to play, you'll play, and if you earn your way under the roster, you'll play. We'll keep the best players here and who we think will help us win the most games. So if a young guy comes out and beats an older player out for a position and has a better camp, then they're going to play. I think that's what we've been striving for since I took over, to have as much internal competition as possible. I think that makes everyone better and involved in it. And we probably haven't had enough of that over these first couple of years. I expect this to be the most competitive training camp we've had. And, and there's, on top of that, there's always injuries, as we saw with Cooch and Granny last year coming out of camp. So it's not too big of a concern of mine.
There's a player like Tyler Toffoli, on paper, the connections between the two of them, but just as a bona fide player who scored over 30 goals, won a cup, is he kind of the guy that you first mind goes to, okay, let's give him a shot with Macklin?
I mean, I'll leave that up to Ryan and the staff, who's playing with who, but for all those, we brought him in for all those reasons you said. He's a proven scorer. He's he'll be good for our young centers. You know, he knows how to play the game. He gets open. It'll be nice to have him, a veteran present who's been through the ups and downs of the season and the grind of a season, to know that, you know, every night's not going to be perfect. So, you know, him and Goody having won cups is kind of it's an invaluable thing to have in the room. You know, I don't think you can really underestimate how important it is to have people who've gone through the grind and come out at the end of it holding the cup. It's pretty important, and we're fortunate to have those guys.
With Will and Macklin signing this year, was there any concern? I don't know if concern's the right word, but is there any kind of, like, was there a thought, okay, do we want to have these guys both on the ELC running out at the same time? Obviously, with the cap going up, that might make things a little bit easier, you know, come 3 years from now or whenever you guys sign the extension. But was there any thought that went into that?
No, we didn't give it too much thought. I think we wanted to get both guys into the system, you know, as soon as possible, and we thought they're both ready to play. If we didn't think they're ready to play and contribute at the NHL level, we wouldn't want to have pushed to sign them. So we think they're both ready, and you know, we'll deal with after, you know, in 3 years, we'll deal with the contract situation then.
Obviously, you know, we're talking about Macklin here, but you know, there were, you know, the rest of the coaching staff was finalized. What went on behind obviously bringing back Ryan Clough to the organization?
You know, Chloe's really a sharp guy. You know, we'd kept in touch over the years. You know, I think he's had some really good experiences from, you know, when he finished playing in Jersey. You know, Lou Lamoriello let him spend a lot of time with him and kind of learn things from Lou. And then, you know, on the coaching side, he spent some time with John Hines and Sheldon Keefe. And when he was in Toronto, he spent time with, you know, Cal Dubas and his staff there, as well as coaching. So, and then, you know, he and I worked together in New York, and he's a really bright guy, sees the game, can break down the game really, really well. So it's another different perspective for me and our staff to have. And I think he's going to be a great addition to our staff and the organization. You know, he's a great person as well. So, you know, we're trying to get as many good people in here and good hockey people in here as possible. And I think, you know, his addition is gonna make us a better organization.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Adam, NHL.com.
Hi, Mike. Just curious what you saw, what made it clear to you that Macklin was NHL ready right now, ready to step right into your lineup? Did you see it along the way during the season? Was it something at development camp that sort of clicked for you in the group that said, okay, this guy's ready to be an NHL player?
You know, watching him during the season, you know, his play kind of speaks for itself. You know, at his age, the maturity he played with, playing a full 200-foot game, getting to the middle of the rink, making plays, handling contact when, you know, there's some of these older teams kind of went after him. He never backed down. So his play kind of speaks for itself. You know, World Juniors, youngest kid out there, and he was kind of Canada's go-to guy. So from a play standpoint, we thought that he's ready and he'll be able to handle it. But I think what really pushed us over the edge was you know, our interview and dinner with him at the combine, where, you know, he just showed a maturity beyond his years to in his drive and his passion and his want to be a great player in this league. So when you're around those type of players, I think you recognize it. And you know, he kind of has that alpha mentality that you know, made us believe he's ready to handle the ups and downs and the rigors of the NHL season.
Cheng.
Mike, going off of that that alpha mentality, and Todd said when we talked with him a couple of days ago that Macklin wants to be first in everything. And have you ever played with a guy like that, or in your experience in management or as a coach, have you ever seen a guy like that with just that sort of mentality, or guys like that you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, I've been, you know, fortunate to play with, you know, guys like that throughout my time, whether that's, you know, Doug Waite in Edmonton, you know, Jaromir Jagr in Washington, you know, and then, you know, from this side of it, on the other side of it, not the player side of it, well, you know, obviously play with Jumbo and Patty and Pav, all three of those guys, you know, they have the same mentality of wanting to be the best and working on their craft consistently, to want to be the best player they can be, and believe that they can make any play on the rink. And then you know, from this side of it and the coaching side of it, Jack Hughes is built the same way. Jack thinks he can do anything on the rink at any time. Thinks he's always the best player on the ice, and so, and then, you know, working with Chicago, you obviously have Kane and Taves there, and so those are kind of the alphas that I've been around, and Macklin has the same drive to be the best, and to thinks he's, you know, when he steps on the ice, he's not taking a backseat to anyone. Constantly working, constantly pushing himself, and is pushing his teammates. So, you know, I just think he's got that special kind of drive within.
And going back to Ryan Clough, he's a assistant general manager. Your other AGMs, you have Joe Will, maybe a little more Barracuda focus. Maybe Tom is more Cap focus. Is there a particular focus for Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, he'll probably be more involved in the day-to-day hockey stuff, the actual, you know, not to say that Joe and Tom aren't, but, you know, I think he'll be involved in, I think he's got a good eye for talent. He's got some really good ideas and thoughts about player development and scouting and things like that. So, I think he'll be involved in more and more stuff on the on-ice hockey side of things.
And finally, for me, just on assistant coaches, can you talk about the decision to bring Brian Wiseman back and bring on Doug Huda and Jeff Omer?
Yeah, Wise, you know, I think he did a good job with the power play, and, you know, speaking with the forwards and those guys that were on the power play at the, you know, at our exit meetings, guys had, you know, very positive things to say about him. You know, and I think he kind of grew as over the 2 years, where, you know, year one he was kind of the third assistant, and year two he kind of bumped up to more of a, you know, a number two, and took over the power play and 6-on-5 and things. And he's got a history of some player development with his time in college as well. So, you know, where we are as a franchise, we thought it was a good fit. I think Doug Huda kind of balances out our staff in general, Ryan included, with all his experience, you know, in the league, played in the league for a long time. Now he's coached in the league a long time. You know, we're going to have some young D coming up, and I think he's a great teacher for those players. And I think it'll be a good, you know, a good year for Ryan, and kind of help him navigate the ups and downs of the season. I don't think there's anything that he hasn't seen. So, you know, it'll be a good sounding board for Ryan and the whole staff. And Jeff Omer, you know, he's played in a bunch of different leagues, and he's done player development, and he's done a lot of, you know, skill work. And now he's getting his, you know, the last few years, he's kind of got his foot in the door in the coaching, and he's kind of blended the skill work and player development work with coaching. And, you know, that's a good mix for us with where we are and the young players we're going to have around here, that, you know, we have someone who's got that player development, skill development background to help with our players' development as we move along.
Right, we'll wrap it up with Curtis.
Mike, what do you want? Now that your roster is more or less set, first of all, what do you think the identity of this team is going to be this year? And as far as your timeline, maybe for becoming more of a playoff contending type team, is that moved up at all? I mean, do you, maybe not this year, but looking at 2025, 26 as being a season where you like to make a run at a playoff spot? Is that you know, maybe part of the plan at all?
As I've kind of told you guys, I don't really want to put, you know, exact timelines on things here. I think we just need to keep getting better and keep moving forward. And that's what I'd like to see with the group that we have here is, you know, getting better and pushing things forward. And, that's hopefully, in the next couple of years, we can push for the playoffs and be there, but I don't want to give you a timeline saying next year, this is what we're going to do. I think we just need to keep getting better and keep growing as a team and improving individually. As far as next year goes, I think, the main thing I'd like to see, and I know Ryan would like to see, is us just being a more competitive, harder to team to play against, where other teams aren't coming in here and having easy nights. I think that's going to be the foundation of everything, that we're, hardworking, competitive team. And I think with the players we've added, they all have a history of playing a certain way and contributing a certain way. And add those to some of the other pieces that were already here. I think you can kind of start to see it coming together as us kind of starting to take that identity and, hopefully, the talent that we have, not only our guys that are coming in, but, Becky and Zetz and those guys, it'll be another year. They'll have a year of experience in the league under their belt. So hopefully those guys can keep growing and taking steps as well. So, if everyone gets a little bit better and everyone, takes a little step forward, we should be a better team. But at the core and the foundation of everything is us being a more competitive, hard to play against team.
All right, thank you.
All right, Shane, go ahead. You got one more.
Yeah, just a quick one. Sorry, Mike. Is Macklin going to play rookie faceoff?
I would imagine he would. Yeah, at this point, I would imagine he needs to get those game reps and be out there and start kind of getting used to what pro hockey is going to look like.
Okay, great. Thank you.